Welcome to another episode of the STR Sisterhood. I'm your host, Stacey St. and you know it, girl. I'm going to say thank you. Thank you for inviting me into your day today. Now, before we jump into today's interview, I want to share a quote I read that resonated with me. And this quote says, "I am thankful for my struggle because without it, I wouldn't have stumbled across my strength." Such beautiful words coming to us from Alex L., who is a New York Times best-selling author. Now, today we are diving into all things revenue management, and you'll want to pay close attention because if you are thinking that just having a dynamic pricing tool is all you need, my friends, we are going to be helping you take your business to the next level. I am welcomed by fellow STR sister, Jillian Heilman. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into my convo with Jillian. So today we are here with Jillian Heilman, and we are going to be talking about all things revenue management. But first, I just want to say thank you for being with us, Jillian.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has been a long time coming. And for those of you who don't know, Jillian and I have known each other, gosh, what is it been 2 years? Something
Almost.
like that we've worked together. So Jillian is a very valued member of our STR Success Accelerator community, as well as our Achievers Club. And it has been so wonderful just watching your journey and seeing you continue to grow. And I just want to say congratulations because you are next level when it comes to the topic at hand. So I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. That's very sweet.
You're so welcome. All right. So let's start off and just have you share with our listeners a little bit about who you are and where you live.
Yes. So I am a real estate investor in the short-term rental world. We actually started off as long-term rental owners, and quickly thought, we really want to own a place where we actually got married. So we'd been looking at it over the years, and I felt like now was the right time. So we had a long-term rental. Let's jump into the short-term rental. So we purchased our first short-term rental right before COVID hit, and fell in love. I think at one point I even told you, Stacey, that it's addicting. Like once you get that first one, you want to get more. And so within another year, we bought our second short-term rental. And now I've kind of been diving into co-hosting for other owners in the same area. Mm-hmm. We live in Washington, so right outside of Seattle area, and I have a 8-year-old and now a 6-year-old. So we keep very busy outside of that. And then most recently, I got hooked up with Jake Cohen, who is from Step by Step B&B, through our accelerator group. Mm-hmm. And we'd been talking about all things PriceLabs, all things pricing. And I actually had done a one-on-one with him back in the fall of last year. And was like, after my call with him, I thought, this is very interesting to me. I have a finance background. And I wanted to see what that was all about. So I reached out to Jake and I said, "Hey, Jake, I'd really like to come and help you with revenue management." And we had a call, and
the rest is history.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Okay. And I'm going to say something at the risk of sounding offensive. Okay. So if you're listening and you're offended by what I'm about to say, I apologize in advance. But I consider that most people with finance backgrounds wouldn't be as fun to be around as you are, because most people with finance backgrounds are very cut and dry. But you seem, well, I know you're a lot of fun to be around. So tell me a little bit about your finance background, and have I gotten that wrong? Like, am I totally misjudging people?
No. So you are very correct. So my degree is in finance and marketing. I got out of college and my first job out of college was with Nordstrom corporate, which I think molded that you don't have to be so serious because all I wanted to do was work at a bank, a financial institution. I thought that's where I was going to go. And so I started working at Nordstrom in their corporate offices as a financial analyst, but then it kind of grew and I was with a really fun group. So I think that kind of helped shape that too and realize I don't want to work at a bank.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that serious. But yeah, I do love numbers and that kind of thing, but I don't I would never want to be a CPA.
Right. Right. God love them. Yeah. And I know some really fun CPAs too. So again,
sure.
Please don't take offense to anything that I just said. I just think it's so interesting because actually when I started out in college, I wanted to be an accountant. I am so far from an accountant. I'm way too fun to be an accountant. Okay, people. That's what I'm saying.
I went down that path and was like, ooh, after the first class, nope. I'll go the finance route.
This is not me. Oh my gosh, that's so fun. Okay, so I'm curious, just really quickly, what was it about short-term rentals that you think was so addicting for you? Because I totally agree. It is so enjoyable. It's so fun. I always say it's like having a baby and going through childbirth when you're launching a property. You pop that baby out and it's like, oh my gosh, that was the most painful thing ever. When can I have another one? But for you, what was it that was so addicting, do you think?
Yeah, I think, so our first short-term rental is 45 minutes from our house. And so we really bought it as a lifestyle asset. We wanted to be able to use it. And then in the interim, when we weren't using it, we wanted to rent it out. And honestly, for me, it was the reviews that we get back or just the messages we get back from guests. Thank you for thinking of this. This was such an amazing stay. I try to give a lot of details of places they can eat, things they can do around the area. And so just that kind of customer service aspect of it, I really enjoyed. And so then we're like, well, let's do another one. And now I have owners coming to me and asking me to help them because they're not seeing the return on their investment that they need to see. And they'll look at my Airbnb reviews and be like, you have really good reviews. Can you take my property on? So that's where my co-hosting aspect has grown in that way as well is, people have just found me. I wasn't searching to go co-hosting route, but it's worked out great. And, it's because I know the area so well, it's easy to add on.
Yeah, for sure. And so when you got plugged into Jake and to Step by Step B&B, what was it that really propelled you to start thinking like, oh, this whole revenue management thing, it has legs. Like I need to have a revenue management program in place. What was it that really tipped you over the edge?
Last year was a little bit harder. People were back at work, so they were back in the office, so they weren't able to travel as much and be nomads. And so I saw our revenue decline last year and I thought, I've got to do something. And so when I had my call with Jake, I was highly impressed with how much he knew. And I wanted that knowledge really bad. So I selfishly, when I was telling Jake that I wanted to come down this path, I wanted it for myself and I wanted to learn it from him because he spent so much time going through everything and helping me learn some things that I didn't have the time to learn on the outside, right? Because I was building this business. And so it was a selfish step for me to do it. But I really saw in putting our programs together, I'm like, oh gosh, this is really working. Like I'm not so stressed about my own property or the properties I'm co-hosting now because I've put a customization plan in place for revenue management.
Mm-hmm.
And I can definitely see the benefits of having everything together and working.
Yeah. So talk to us about those benefits. What kind of changes have you seen in your own portfolio with respect to having this revenue management program in place?
Yeah. So I was probably like a lot of the listeners out there. I had PriceLabs set up, not correctly, really. I thought it was okay. I knew there was some things I could do better, but it was kind of, I just threw it all in there. I didn't go in and check very often either. And so learning that you really have to set up certain things within PriceLabs, like your seasonal profile is major. You have to have that. Your minimum night stays is really big. Get your comp sets together. So there are 3 things that I see that people miss when they're putting their PriceLabs stuff together that come to us as clients now. They've done some of the work and it's good, some of it, and then we just need to build that out. And so even with my own properties, I've tweaked stuff. I go into PriceLabs, and I think the biggest thing too is PriceLabs is not a set it and forget it. You have to be in there weekly checking on stuff. You don't want to change things daily, but you need to be in there looking at it weekly to get where you want.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I'm really glad that you brought that up because I think a lot of people, and I've heard this a lot. When you ask people about their revenue management strategy, they're like, well, my strategy is I have PriceLabs or I have a dynamic pricing tool. And you are absolutely correct. Yes, that is a tool. That is a tool for you to utilize, but that is not the strategy, right? So
right. Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, from your perspective, what do you feel like is the starting point? If somebody is listening and they're like, oh gosh, I have said that. I do have PriceLabs and that's the extent of it. What should they be looking at first within their PriceLabs settings?
Yeah. The biggest thing we do first off is do our comp sets and make sure those comp sets are true to what we have. So if we have a hot tub, we want to make sure those houses that we're up against also have hot tubs. We also want to make sure they're in the same market, right? We don't want one that's 2 hours away. So it's really dialing in your comp set and looking to see from there where your seasonality is. So you can see where your bump is. Let's say you're in a beach market, so your summers are going to be high. But let's say you're in a mountain market, your fall, winter is going to be higher. But do you know those exact timings of high? Like October 18th might start you off. It's not October 1st, right? And so kind of diving in is going to let you kind of help that situation.
Now, I am curious when, besides building out comp sets, I know that that's an initial really, really strong key focus. Talk to me about once you have those built out and people are going back in weekly and checking things, what types of things should they be checking?
So from the comp sets, you want to set up your seasonal profile. So within your market dashboard, you'll be able to see the revenue for the last year. So you can really dive into where your seasons are. And when I say seasons, I'm not saying, June 1st to August 31st is your summer, because that's not typically what it is. Typically, it's like 2 weeks in June to the first 2 weeks of August. So you just have to really know your market, and you'll see that in that market dashboard. So setting up your markets, we always pull out the holidays. So July holiday, July 4th, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Those are all pulled out in a seasonal profile. And then setting your minimum night stays. So if you want a 4-night minimum night stay on the weekend through summer, you've got to set that. And you can set different profiles up for that. That would be the second thing. And then as you're in there, weekly checking your pricing, we always check what PriceLabs suggests. Do we change it to that? Not always. We really look at the market to see, do we really need to increase that much or decrease that much? And sometimes we're getting good bookings. They're further out bookings. So if we're getting further out bookings, we can bump up the price for that. But it just all depends on what your market is doing and the knowledge of what your market's doing. We have seen a lot more last minute this year, more last minute bookings coming in. And so our goal is to push those out. But we're seeing it across the board right now.
Yeah, I am curious, knowing that you're working with people all across the country, what are some of those trends that you are seeing, from a revenue management perspective? I absolutely agree. And I'm just saying this from my own, portfolio. I definitely see a lot more last minute bookings, which, when people book within a 30-day window, oftentimes we have pricing decline or pricing decay is, because you do need to stay competitive with the market. Any other trends that you see happening in multiple areas?
Yeah, we're seeing a decrease in the ADR as well across the board. Some areas are higher than others, but it's very competitive right now. And in order to stay competitive, you've got to be on top of your pricing and making sure that if, let's say there's only 20% occupancy in your low season, you might have to lower your price. It's better to get booked and get some money rolling in than to stay open for a weekend, right? Where no money is coming in. So knowing where you're sit against your competitors, which is also in PriceLabs, and you can see your pricing per day on there versus them, that's huge.
I was going to say, I remember, when I was filming with Jake. So Jake, actually, he and I did two-hour master classes for the students inside of our accelerator program. And he had mentioned that, again, how important it is to be in your PriceLabs or whatever tool you're utilizing for dynamic pricing, in that tool on a weekly basis. And he suggested 1 to 2 hours per week, actually dialing in your pricing. And if you don't have 1 to 2 hours per week, it is a scenario where you can hire someone like, your organization to help on an ongoing basis. I know from other people inside of our program, when they do sign up, they're like, oh my gosh, I just got 10 bookings and I'm pulling in, higher prices than I ever thought possible. Do you see people actually bumping up their revenue on an ongoing basis because there is more a proactive approach? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when people come to us, they haven't gotten a plan in place. So it takes a little bit of seasoning to get you to that point. 1 to 2 months, things don't happen instantly. I know we're all about the instant gratification, but it takes a little time. And once we get there, it's like the sweet spot. And now we can start upping those prices up because people are seeing us in the market and they want to stay in our places, right? And so that's when we start bumping pricing up from there. But yeah, I see it pretty consistently across the board. When somebody comes on, it takes a little time and then we get there. So
yeah. Now, I want to ask you a quick question too about a revenue management strategy for a midterm rental versus a short term. Is there any difference in the approach for a midterm versus a short term?
Yeah, so we have some clients that have more focused on midterm rentals and then they want to fill in with short-term rental guests. And so we do our seasons differently for them and our pricing strategy is different because we want to sell the 30-day stays, the midterm rental stays. And then when they have those gaps, we'll fill in with a short-term rental. So it's really working the calendar for each listing. And that's why when we go in weekly to everybody's pricing, we can see, okay, here's like a week that's in between a booking and we can set different pricing for that week to get it booked as a short-term stay. So yeah, we do different things for midterm than short term.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I say that because, as you just heard in our Achievers Club call, my company is taking on our first midterm rental only property. And so this will be a learning curve for me. And I'm excited to have my team, kind of taking on this approach. And I will keep y'all posted.
Yeah.
How that goes.
For sure. Yeah.
It's fun though. It's fun.
Yeah.
So I'm one of the things that I'm excited about is that you are coming to our Live Big Beach retreat, and you are teaching a revenue management workshop, as well as doing one-on-one sessions with our attendees who are interested in that personalized session. It's funny. One of the things that we were talking about internally last week is how cool is it that attendees can come and actually learn through a workshop, but then sit down for a one-on-one session with the workshop giver during that same event. Like, that is so cool. And I'm curious what you're excited about for that retreat.
Yeah. I'm really excited to help people understand the PriceLabs piece of it and giving them tips and tricks on how they can do it either on their own, or if they want us to take on their revenue management. People see the how revenue management can help them increase their revenue and kind of set up their PriceLabs how it needs to be set up and how you can really watch it too. So I'm excited to see everyone's, a lot of us have pain points on what's happening in our short-term rental. And if I can just be a little piece of that to help them over that, I'm all for it.
I love that. I love it. So good. Plus, hold on. I have 2 diamonds right here. You might win one of these. That could be a bonus. That could be a bonus.
Yeah.
I'm just bummed I can't win. I'm looking at these going, do I really need to give them away? Because they're pretty gorgeous.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
I'm giving them away. All right. So I want to move to the lightning round. So Jillian, I'm going to ask you to answer with the very first thing that comes to mind. And they're going to be easy, most of them.
Okay.
First question is, where is your favorite place to vacation?
Hawaii.
Okay, tell us about this. Any certain island that's a favorite?
I love Maui. We try to go every couple of years. We've taken the kids now, last several. And I love that area. And it's easy for me to get to because I'm already on the West Coast. So
I was going to say, there are direct flights from Seattle, correct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
See, if I could get a direct flight to Hawaii, that would be amazing. Now, do you fly direct to Oahu, or can you fly direct to Maui even?
Yep. You can fly direct to Maui. Yep.
Wow. That's so good. So good. So, Chad and I, my husband and I, are celebrating our 30th anniversary this year. And we actually honeymooned in Hawaii. And we had, I think, what both of us would deem like a National Lampoon's Honeymoon from Hell movie happen to us.
Oh, no.
We've been back to Hawaii 2 more times since then and absolutely have had a blast. So thank goodness it was only our first trip. But I've never been, we've only been to Oahu and Maui. So have you been to all the Hawaiian Islands?
I actually have not. Oahu and Maui are the only ones I've been to. I've not been to the Big Island or Kauai. And I heard Kauai is also very beautiful and nice, more rainforest type of thing too there. So it's on my list.
There you go. It's on your list. All right. What's one place you've never been that you want to visit?
Greece.
Okay. Like the Greek islands, like
Santorini. Yep. Yeah.
I've heard that water is just to die for. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well,
it just looks beautiful.
if you go, I will be glad to volunteer to carry your luggage. Okay.
Perfect. Yes. Or retreat
Oh,
and
yes,
Greece.
yes,
There you
yes.
go.
So we did talk about this for the Achievers Club retreat. We're doing Cabo this next year, which I've never been to Cabo. So I'm super excited about that. And then we talked about doing some Disney park, but maybe we could convince the rest of the Achievers Club that we need to go to Greece. What do you think?
Yes. Yes. Oh, 100%.
There you
Done
go.
and done.
Okay. What's one thing you know now that you wished you knew when you were starting out in short-term rentals?
Oh, I mean, this is a good thing though. I didn't know how amazing this community with the accelerator group that we have with you, Stacey. I kind of dove in when we were buying our short-term rental. I got onto the accelerator program and I was like, okay, I'm just going to try this. And it has been the biggest blessing ever. I mean, just the friendships that I've gained through the accelerator group. That's how I met Jake, was through the accelerator group. The amount of knowledge and learning from you, I think that, I wish I knew it was going to be an easier process than I had built up in my mind, right? Because once I jumped into this, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have other women I can talk to about the issues that I'm having because they may be having the same thing. I'm not alone, I guess, was the biggest takeaway.
Yeah. It's funny. Thank you, by the way. I mean, it's equally a treat for me to have you with us because you're a big part of our program. And again, as I said from the start, like I have watched you grow and evolve and it's been really fun to be a part of that journey. But I heard in a book that I was listening to over the weekend about, achievers really need people to talk to. They really need to feel supported. And I don't mean just people in the Achievers Club. I mean, achievers in general, successful people. We need to be surrounded by other people to be able to share challenges with, to be able to get insight and input. And for me, I think the longest time when I was starting, I felt like I didn't have that. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm so proud of our amazing community and mastermind and tribe of women, because we're there as a support system for one another. And there is nothing like that. You can't really put a price on that.
Yeah. You gain lifelong friendships in this group, which is what I love about it. And, feeling comfortable. I mean, before our first retreat, we had seen each other on Zoom for so long. And then we had our first retreat and it was like, oh my gosh, I get to meet you in real life. And but we already knew everyone, it was just a sense of sisterhood and community that I really love.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will share with you, Jillian had the cutest dresses, at our accelerator retreat last year. And still to this day, when I see I don't know what they're called. They probably have a name. But when I see them, I'm like, oh, that's a Jillian dress. And I have tried to buy some Jillian dresses and Stacey looks like a fool in them. Okay. But Jillian looks adorable in them. I want to know how that happens. What are they called? What are the kind of dresses
I don't know.
About?
They're on Amazon. I was influenced on Amazon. Yes. They're like, I don't know. I don't even know the name of them, but I have them in like 3 different colors.
But they're so cute on you, girl. Buy them in all the colors.
Cute summer dresses. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Okay. What is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
To let people talk, to let them share what they want to share, right? I in my corporate, when I had my corporate hat on, feel like everyone used to come in my office and they always had something that they needed to talk about, needed to get it off their shoulders. I joke that maybe I should have been an HR, or a counselor, maybe more counselor. But yeah, the biggest thing is let people talk. Let them know that you're hearing them talk. And so I think that's what's also helped me in my co-hosting business is owners coming to me that are kind of depleted and they don't know what to do and they need the help. Even with revenue management, like they don't have the time to do it themselves and they're feeling like I've got to start making money. And so I want to hear those issues that they're having so we can try to fix them. Mm-hmm. That's my biggest.
Very cool. And last question, what's one thing and or person that you're grateful for today?
I would say my husband for being so supportive in this. It has been a wild ride and it's been fun and I love it. So I know I couldn't do it without his support. So.
I love it. I'm just curious. I didn't ask you this when you were sharing about your kiddos, but do your kids ever talk about real estate or short-term rentals, or are they still too young?
No, my 8-year-old had a full-on conversation with another mom in the class during they were going on a field trip and told this mom all about what I do for a living. And the biggest topic was, we own properties all over. I'm not exactly sure what he said, but we have some properties.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
That's
so
adorable.
My 8-year-old kind of understands it.
Yeah. Future real estate mogul in the making.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, Jillian, that's so adorable. Thank you so much for being with us. If people want to learn more about you oh darn. Oh, can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll start that question over. Okay. So Jillian, if people want to learn more about you or how you might be able to help them, what is the best place for folks to find you online?
Yeah. So if you go to stepbystepbnb.com, there you can schedule a call with either Jake or myself, and we give free hour-long pricing optimization calls. So that's the best place to find us.
I love it.
Or to find me.
Yay! Well, Jillian, again, I am just so proud of you, and I know I'm going to continue to watch you grow, and we are going to have lots of girl time together at the beach in a few weeks. And I'll maybe try to bring a Jillian dress and see if I can pull it off.
I love it. Done.
Done. Oh, I love it. Now, before you go, I want to give a quick shout out to some of the amazing women inside the Female Short-Term Rental Investors Facebook group. Just 2 days ago, Melanie Ochoa posted, "Can we talk about air conditioning? I would never rent someone's house and lower the thermostat as far as it go and leave it running like this the whole time I was there. I hate signs and rules, but I'm thinking of maybe posting a sign and asking not to lower it past 70 or maybe even 72. I do have a smart thermostat that I can control, but I definitely don't want to do that either. What do you do?" And we've had 66 women jump in and share their perspective and feedback. Amanda Hayes King said, "We own an HVAC company. First off, keep in mind that the temperature in the area by the thermostat reaches the set temperature. Then the unit is satisfied. If you have bedrooms or living spaces that get more sun and less sun, it will be warmer or cooler in those areas, unless you've spent money on averaging sensors, zones, or other. So while 70 by the thermostat in the living room may feel great, it may be hot as blazes in a bedroom with the sun beating in or a room with less airflow." What great perspective, Amanda. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you, Melanie, for asking. Now, I just want to again say I am so grateful for each of you and for allowing me to be a part of your short-term rental journey. I will see you back here next week. And until then, make it a great one.